What's going on, everybody? So, if you are familiar with my past videos, especially the most recent one, you'll understand that my gripe has been that there is not enough agentic AI tools on the market that can help or that can assist with technical development, meaning front end, back end, or even having some type of model that can do things on your PC with you being hands free. Literally the week after that, tools like Anthropic or companies like Anthropic or Bolt.new or this tool here, VO by Vercel, made me eat my words. I think Anthropic released the Claude Sonnet model that includes computer use, I believe, in it. Bolt.new, I discovered and thought it was super cool. And plus, again, this tool, VO by Vercel. Similar to Bolt.new, not as robust, though. Um, it seems like Vercel, or VO, I'm sorry, is able to create fairly simple, quick applications. If automating front end work sounds like something that's up your alley, something you're interested in, something that you would want, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please make sure you like or dislike. Please make sure you suggest, comment, leave feedback, ask questions, leave ideas that you would like me to try. And I am making a list as we speak of all the ideas that I've read in the comments that hopefully soon I can kind of jump into and begin playing with. Um, there's just, again, it feels like there's this whole idea that AI somehow has slowed down, and I think they're looking at it from a weird perspective where, sure, like the different models that we have, of course, like I think we've already decided like the top three companies in terms of AI stuff right now, or AI models is OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, right? That's fine. Sure, the idea of discovering or creating new models, I think that might be halted unless something crazy happens, and somebody has a model that's able to, I don't know, be AGI type level stuff. I think what's happening now is people are starting to become creative. Where now that we've established what models are useful, what models we can use, and how to use them, now let's figure out how and what tools, let me backtrack, how we can use them, and what tools can be used with them, for them, that we can develop other applications with. This is kind of what I think is happening now. For example, people are stepping into this agent development of taking a prompt, having a prompt, and then having an agent based off that prompt kind of jump into developing something for you. So um, that was my soapbox speech of what I kind of think of the current AI climate. Let's begin the exciting work and play with this VO tool. Again, it's similar to, or I shouldn't say again, I don't think I've explained this. It is similar to Bolt.new, where it's able to create a front end applications, but it's different, where it doesn't seem to have the same robustness, the same uh, um, intuitiveness or creativity to create um, an entire front end website. What I think this tool is great at is creating small applications. For example, today we are going to ask it to create a simple large language model calculator. Please create a large language model, or let's just large language model token calculator. I think that'll be better. Calculator. Now, Um, why ask for this command? Why want this agent to kind of create this? In times like these, it's important to have something that can count. It's important to have a tool or an application that is able uh, to keep track of how much you're spending when using different large language models. Off the bat, like we can go to the OpenAI pricing and see like per 1K tokens, okay, GPT-4 Turbo looks like 1 cent per 1K tokens for input, 3 cents per 1K tokens for output, um, 1 cent, GPT, let's just do GPT 3.5 Turbo, 0.0015 per 1K tokens for input, 0.0020 for 1K tokens. It looks crazy cheap. What happens is the cost begins to creep up on you. The amount of hits that an enterprise or a business, and when I say hits, I mean the amount of times you use this model with a brand new question or a brand new command or yeah, a brand new kind of prompt, it hits the large language model and a cost is acquired. Having an application that can count this cost, keep track of it, and maybe you kind of already have a pre-plan of, oh, we want this prompt, or here's how many tokens we want to spend, projected wise, forecastly. Here's how many tokens that we want to spend. Here's how many input tokens we want to use. And here's supposedly the output tokens that we're expecting that we want to use. We want a calculator that can create this projection. So again, rather than usually going to a developer and saying, hey, we need you to spin something up, a simple calculator for us to build, or for us to not build, I'm sorry, for us to use and calculate cost, you can simply go to VO or Bolt. Um, Bolt might be something more intricate. Maybe not use Bolt for this use case, but you can go to VO and tell it in a simple prompt, please create a large language model token calculator. You can have it created for you, and then you could deploy it simply, right, and have it be usable within minutes. So anyways, enough of me talking. I'm going to hit the button here. And as you can see, it's thinking. And right now we are private. This isn't public just yet, but you can publish it. So again, similar to bolt.new, it has that double pane view where you can see it generating the code. You can see I'll create a large language model token calculator using React. This calculator will allow users to input text and see the estimated token for different popular language models. Let's build this component step by step. So cool. Now, let's just say, for example, we're a brand new startup and we're not really in the biz. We don't have the time to do POCs on a bunch of different models. We already know we want to use, we already know that we want to use the OpenAI library of models, right? So let's say, please only include OpenAI GPT models. And then let's see how it handles it. So again, I think this is where the the near future is gunning to, right? Where um, instead of having to become technically good at coding a calculator, right? You become proficient at asking, or maybe back up, prompting in an accurate way to get the results you want from a AI model, a large language model. Um, I know there was this talk of prompt engineering, and I don't think personally you need to take a course on prompt engineering to kind of uh, get what you're asking for when you do enter a query. I believe, honestly, just get really good um, at basic language. I know that sounds simpler than kind of what people make it seem, but if you can just learn, and I'm not a language arts major, by the way, but I'm gonna throw some language arts terms out there. If you could just learn how to use adjectives in an effective way, learn how to use verbs, nouns, adverbs, conjunctions in an effective way while writing out what you want in your prompt, the models like these or applications like these will become extremely useful to you. Again, by just understanding language, any language that you're fluent in or that you're learning, just understanding how to write that language, type that language very well to get what you're asking for will be a huge benefit. There was I know I'm talking a lot right now, but there was, I highly recommend people to, and again, this is not a plug either, highly recommend people to check out the Lex Friedman podcast. I think he released this episode a few days ago where he had interviewed the Anthropic CEO, and I believe he had interviewed the individual who is um, responsible for kind of the instructions that are handed, like the overall instructions of a model that are handed to the model to then follow. It was a very insightful podcast. The person that handles the instructions of this model is not a computer science major, is not some engineering professional, but instead is just someone who has, I think, a doctorate degree in philosophy, right? Just knowing how to use the written language when it comes to ethical implications, when it comes to morality of a model, uh, when it comes to asking the model for specifics and questioning it, trying to get those specifics out of it, is what they're responsible for. Really pushing the model to its limits in a pushing the model pushing the model's reasoning limits. But yeah, highly recommend checking out that podcast. But anyways, so we do have a calculator here. Let's say we want, and I guess estimate token count for OpenAI GPT models. Let's say, please clean your house because it is dirty. So I can see that the estimated token count for these models looks like it's 16. So this just counts the tokens that a query might have. But this isn't exactly what I want. I kind of want to know that rather than counting the tokens, I want to include the cost. I want an application that is able to determine the cost of determine the cost based off of input and output tokens for GPT models. I want an application that is able to determine the cost based off of input and output tokens for GPT models. Let's just see if this kind of gets it right now. Okay, it goes back. It looks like it is this TypeScript.tsx. I think that might be TypeScript. I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong. I'll create an application that calculates cost based on blah 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 blah. We'll expand on our previous da 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 da. Okay, still going. Model section. For example, you could use this page, blah 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 blah. Still not getting what I want. Why is it not including the cost? And again, this is what I'm saying. Sometimes you do kind of have to go back and forth with this to get what you want. Note the token use compound. Da, 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 da. You should consider using OpenAI's official tokenizer for take token. Da, 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 da. Please make sure that it includes cost of models per 1K tokens. Let's see if it kind of gives us what we want. And again, I know this application is fairly new. So I don't know kind of what work is being done on it recently. Maybe this is something that is still being worked on. And there we go. I think it's finally bringing back kind of what I want, where I see it's including the GPT 3.5 turbo model, GPT 4, GPT 4 32K. And it looks like this is kind of more so what I'm trying to get at. Let's see what the end result is. And again, fine. I may have to kind of ask it questions multiple times. Let's see. Let's try it out. Your house is dirty. Please clean it today because you have a date coming over. Still not working the way we want it to. Let's restart it. I want to see if I can kind of do it in a new chat. Please create a LM calculator that is able to determine the cost of using open AI GPT models based off input and output tokens. Please create a large language model calculator that is able to determine the cost of using OpenAI GPT models based off input and output tokens. Please include current prices to the cost per 1K tokens of using. Please create a large language model that is able to determine the cost for 1K tokens of using OpenAI GPT models based off input and output tokens. Please include current prices. Let's see where we get with that. I'll create a React component. Da, 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 da. Let's see what it pulls back. Okay. I see the calculate cost function here, so I'm hoping that it then spits out kind of more of a calculator look in the interface. This is kind of where I was getting at. Cost per tokens, cost per 1K tokens, NAN. I'm not sure about that. But anyways, let's see here. So let's say we enter, I don't know, 100 tokens. And I don't like that there's that 0 there in front of it. And let's say we have potentially 300 output tokens. Okay. Now, I also want to make sure that these these prices are correct. So I'll fix that, but let's also try to eliminate that leading 0. Please eliminate leading 0 within the text, within both the text input tokens box and the output tokens box. Oh, it looks like I spelled eliminate wrong. I'll modify the cost. Oh, okay. So I already knew that I meant eliminate in the first place. Cool. That's why you should stay in school, so you don't end up not knowing how to spell like me. Let's see if it took out that leading 0, because it was kind of, there we go. So 100, let's say 1,000. And then let's say let's say that our output might be 2,650. Now, what I want to check in the code, anyways, as you can see, you enter in the potential amount of input tokens that you think a user might have. Maybe you take a look at the average input tokens that you have for an application already. You then kind of look at the average output tokens also that you have already, enter that in, and then again have like the average cost, the average total cost per 1K tokens that you might acquire over time. But let's take a look at the prices real quick to make sure that things are correct. So we're in the code here. Again, I think TSX is TypeScript. I could be wrong. Please correct me in the comments. I'm not sure. But we see for GPT-4 1106 preview, input 01, output 03. Let's see if that's correct. No, yeah, it is correct. I see GPT-4 1106 preview, input per 1K 01, output per 1K 03. Nice. Let's kind of make sure all the others are correct. So even though like we have the application up and running and it's set up, we still want to make sure that the code is correct, the prices are correct, the important stuff is correct. And I see that it's doing it per 1,000 tokens divided by 1,000 times pricing. I'm pretty sure I've developed a similar cost model using Python and feeding data based off of kind of what a user's, based on like kind of what an enterprise's usage was, feeding it into a Python automation, and then kind of feeding that data into a Tableau dash to then see things on a holistic view of how much we might be spending when it comes to large language models. And I think it was mostly OpenAI models. So that's why, again, usually the prices can change. And that's one thing I've learned to make sure I pay attention to is the pricing cost of these models. But anyways, so GPT-4 03 06, let's go back, GPT-4 03 06, and then GPT 3.5 Turbo 1106, GPT 3.5 Turbo 1106, 0010 for 0020 for output, 0020 for output. Cool. So yeah, it looks pretty accurate. GPT 3.5 Turbo, 0015, 0020. Looks like they don't have the regular turbo here, but I see 0015, 0020, so I'm guessing that would be it. But again, maybe that's something to check around and see if you're correct. But now let's go back to the preview and let's kind of just deploy it real quick, right? For it to be kind of used by anyone and everyone. So I think I do share. Well, add to your chat. I think it's this one. Oh no, take that back. Not this way. We want to do share. Now it says deploy. This is going to deploy it onto I guess if you want to productionize it, you would deploy it onto Vercel specifically. I did get a question in a past, my recent video, asking if it's possible to deploy it to your own platform. Again, I guess if you take the code, transfer it to whatever platform you're using, yeah, probably you could do it. I forgot who said that in the comments. Let me double check. Let me see. Because it was a good question. Actually, I want to shout them out for helping me mention that. It was Mohammed Hanifa 8259. Thank you for that question. It was a good question. I had to research and look into it myself. Maybe in a future video, I'll set up my own platform and deploy it. But yeah, it was a good question. So shout out to you. But yeah, you would simply, rather than deploying it to Vercel, if you just want to make it public and have it be used for your team, you would go to share. Anyone with the link can view this chat in its blocks. Boom. You open it. They can then, viewers with access to all the code in this chat, including API keys and credentials, you can then take this link. Let's say, go to a different tab here. And let's say we want to, boom. Now, even though, sure, it's not deployed necessarily to a specific platform, you are still able to use this. You are still able to plug in, I don't know, 1,356 input tokens, and the expected output tokens might be 6,745. And then that kind of based off kind of what we already checked with the cost of the models, you can be sure that these costs will reflect accurately as long as you make sure, again, to check that the models are accurate. Cost per 1K tokens. I wonder if this goes by like just the million. I'm not sure, but we want to focus on this cost per 1K token because I know like on the site there is per 1 million, and I specifically checked per 1K. So this might go by the 1K one. This might go by the per million one. I'm not sure. But again, this is just an experimentation. I'm not going to get into the weeds of like trying to figure out all the and nitpicking all the pieces of it. But this is a great way to automate front end development, right? At least get the skeleton code that you might want to build off from, right? Something tangible, something useful. I think this can be really useful for all front end developers. Again, a lot of people might scare you and say, oh my goodness, this is going to take my job. This is going to automate my job. I've told plenty of people so far, on a resume, it's much better for a hiring manager or any type of manager that you're trying to kind of reach out to on LinkedIn or at a career fair, so forth and so on. It's much better it's much more attractive to see a candidate that knows how to use AI tools in tandem with their own development versus kind of being like one of those hardcore, I'm never using AI. AI should not be in my development. I don't want to. I can never have a AI model do my job, blah, blah, blah. Don't be that person, right? Be a person who kind of embraces the change, embraces the advancements, embraces human ingenuity. Be a person who is ready to kind of see how AI can be useful to you versus how you can be useful to it. AI is an assistant. It should not be taken as fact all the time. Make sure you check the code, make sure you read over it, and make sure you're able to provide adequate checks in it so that it runs correctly. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this tutorial, if you enjoyed this how-to, if you enjoyed this experimentation, please make sure you smash that subscribe button. Please make sure you like or dislike. Please make sure you suggest, comment, leave questions, leave ideas. I love taking a look at them. I love responding to them. Thank you. And with that, bye-bye.